Happy Wednesday, Facebook family and friends. Sorry I'm a little late getting on today. It's been a crazy day here at Carolina Hearing Services in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm Dr. Abby Connell, audiologist at the 1523 Ashley River Road location. And today we're going to talk briefly about what exactly is it that you miss when you have hearing loss. With hearing, a lot of times it takes us several years before we actually realize that our hearing has declined. Most people start reporting that they feel like their family members are starting to mumble a little bit. And over the years, you start to realize that it's not just your immediate family that's mumbling, but your friends, your extended family and friends. All of a sudden, you start to wonder, maybe it's my hearing and not actually the way that everybody is talking. Your brain very quickly acclimates to hearing at lower levels. And so it can take a while where you're not realizing that you're not hearing as well as you once were. So it's always a great idea to make sure that you get a baseline hearing test so that you know in this snapshot of time whether you have normal hearing or not. You can Google tons of different information about hearing loss and the importance of treating hearing loss. But today what I'm going to show you is an example of where, as a function of frequency or pitch, as well as a function of loudness, where different sounds fall. And I'll give you a couple of examples of different types of hearing loss so you have an idea of some of the sounds that you might be missing if you do have mild hearing loss versus moderate or severe. One very common thing that you can look up online that I just Googled to print one off today, although I use this as an example quite often. This is something that's called the Audiogram of familiar sounds. And what we're looking at here is as a function of pitch across the top, so going from low bass pitch over to very high squeaky pitches. And then down the side, we go from extremely soft sounds at the top down to painfully loud sounds at the bottom. So if we were to just think about where sounds occur on a regular basis, the softest of sounds would be leaves rustling, and those are kind of mid-frequency but very soft. The closer these sounds are up to the top, the softer that they are. The further down towards the bottom, the louder that they are. Normal hearing is typically from 0 to 20. So when you have normal hearing, you should be able to hear water dripping in the faucet. You should be able to hear the wind blowing the leaves, and you should also be able to hear high little chirpy birds, as well as clocks ticking. You're really able to hear everything in this entire range. If, however, you have, say, a moderate hearing loss, so I'm just going to draw on here what would be considered, if you look at my orange line, this would be considered a moderate loss in those low bass pitches, dropping off to a more moderately severe in the mid-range down to severe in the high range. With this example of hearing loss, all sounds above the orange line would not be heard. The closer you are to the orange line, the softer those sounds will be. For example, if you have this hearing loss and a dog is barking, instead of that dog barking sounding super loud, it's really pretty quiet because you only just started to hear those sounds. On the flip side of that, when you look at the speech range, or this gray shaded area here, this is where all of the speech sounds occur in our language. So more importantly than what you're missing in the environment, you're barely hearing any speech sounds, which means when someone is talking to you at their regular conversational level, it's actually going to sound closer to a whisper to someone with that example of hearing loss. So it's very common to feel like more people are actually mumbling around you when the reality is your brain is just not picking up those sounds. Realistically, even trying to talk to someone on the telephone would be much more difficult because their voice is automatically much softer than it would be if you still had normal hearing. People that you're trying to listen to, such as a spouse or a loved one, children, grandchildren, you're going to struggle to hear and understand their voices as well. And so I wanted to give you a visual idea today of really how many sounds in your environment, including speech, are being missed on a daily basis whenever you have hearing loss. We always offer complimentary hearing evaluations, and we can absolutely let you know what, if any, hearing loss you have and whether or not it's actually time to do something about it. Give us a call anytime, shoot me an email, but most importantly, just make sure that you get out there and you get an annual hearing exam completed no matter where you live, because we know as well that the longer you go without treating your hearing loss, the harder it is to make speech sound clear. We also know that the longer you go with hearing loss that's not treated, we do see a lot more symptoms of depression and isolation because you're not able to take part in all of the activities that you would otherwise enjoy doing. Likewise, it becomes very frustrating for you and your family members when you're constantly having to ask for repetition. It's important to be an active participant in your hearing healthcare. So if you're not understanding something that someone is saying to you, please ask them to repeat. Sometimes just asking them to slow down the rate of speech so you can process each individual sound and word can also increase your speech understanding. Make sure you come by and see us, Carolina Hearing Services at 1543 Ashley River Road. I'm Dr. Abby Connell, and I will see you all next week. Have a great day.